Okay, in this demo, I'm going to go over the assignment one and also to show you how to step by step getting your Jupyter Notebook set up and get this. I have a so-called startup file for this assignment and how you bring it up in your own environment and to complete the assignment and then save it and submit it. So on Canvas, there is a assignment page under the Unit 2, or you can find it under assignment as well. So when you go in, you're going to see a detailed kind of description and requirement to tell you, for instance, when you submit your assignment, you may want to name it with your last name underscore first name, and then keep the IPYNB file extension, which is interactive Python notebook format. And this assignment is about using list, and I briefly describe kind of usage policy. Use it only when it's needed, and as a kind of a last resort, and use it to solve maybe one tricky issue. Don't try to let the system solve the whole problem for you. Then you're not learning anything. Document how you use it, what you get out of it, what's your assessment in terms of the response from the system. Write it down in the markdown cell. This is kind of how you should document it in the markdown cell whenever you use it. There is one of the tasks which you're required to use ChatGPT or similar generative AI tool. The assignment basically you're given like three product category cells over 12 months each, and then you need to do some, and it's captured in the list that's given to you, and then you would ask to actually complete a number of tasks, which is kind of laid out here. Read this carefully, and there's an Excel format of the data set that's given to you, but you don't really need to use it. However, you could use it to kind of double check what you have done in Python, if you like. And the important thing to after you read this, it's really to download this startup file. Okay, this is the startup file. I'm going to just download it. I'm using the Windows system. Click here. Then it's downloaded. Um, you can go in. It should be in your download folder. I'm going to go in so I can see where that is. Okay. So this is the one. And the first thing you may want to do is rename it, which is a requirement before you submit it. So why don't we just do it? So I would just say rename. You need to learn how to rename a file, either Mac or Windows. So I'm going to say my last name, my first name. I'll just say A1 for assignment 1. Hit enter. Don't change the file extension or the file type because that's critical. However, if you open this one up on my system, a VS Code will be used to open it up, but that's not what we wanted. You want to open it in under Jupyter Notebook. So one thing you do need to know is that where you should put this file. So let me do this. I'm going to just say copy. Okay, copy, and I'm going to just go and find my user directory under my C drive, double click, and one of the folder will be your username on your computer. In my case, it's minter.chen. Okay. Once you're in there, the best practice is you will create a new folder under this your username. So I'm going to do just that. Um, and so I'm here to say new folder. I'm going to name it 1_1_A1. Hit enter. It's pretty much on the top, that's why I started with 1. Double click. So under your username, under your username, and create a new folder and put that startup file under this new in the new folder. And so we're ready to bring that up in Jupyter Notebook. The first thing we need to do, if you haven't opened the Jupyter Notebook, then the best way is to bring up the Anaconda Navigator. This take a while, and then you will basically activate the Jupyter Notebook within the Anaconda Navigator environment. And this take a little bit of time. Okay, make sure you have Anaconda Navigator installed, and then we'll be ready. There's a lot of stuff need to be loaded to bring up this Anaconda Navigator. So once you're here, remember we talked once about environment. I'm going to use whatever default environment. Let me just click. Okay, there's a base environment. That's good enough. Here they're actually still loading stuff under this environment. I'm not going to change that. Home, that's by default, that's what you're seeing. And Jupyter Notebook, if you sometimes you may need to scroll down a little bit to see it. I can see it here. Jupyter Lab is very similar to Jupyter Notebook. Our textbook use Jupyter Lab. You feel free to use one or the other, but I'll use Jupyter Notebook throughout this course in most of the situation. So sometimes you will see some software under this environment, they call it install, which means you haven't installed it yet. You have to click install, but something you have installed, then it will change to launch. If you click launch, you'll really bring up this particular tool in your environment. Okay, so that's coming out. I'm not sure when there's something will pop up. Okay, it show up on my second monitor, so I'm going to just move that over. Okay, in this case, it actually use Microsoft Edge, the web browser. Sometimes it could be your Chrome, it could be another browser, but it really doesn't matter because browser usually works the same way. And right here, that's the folder we created under user minder.chen, and this is the folder we created. So double click. So we're in, we're ready to go. I'm going to bring it up. Okay, I'll quickly go over the requirement because this is a very long document. The first thing you need to know is that we have many cells. Let me just reduce it just a little bit and read it. And we have the data set is it's in-memory data structure. It's not like Excel file. And so this is the data set. We have 3 product: apparel, athletic footwear, and street footwear. And this is 12-month sales data for each category. Okay, in US dollar from January to December. One thing you have to do for the rest of the code, once you complete it to work, is you actually have to run the cell. When your cursor is in the cell, you can just say click to run it, or shift enter key to run it. Nothing actually come out, okay? Because we're not printing it, we're not telling the system to display the information. But just to make sure, move back to this code cell, add a new cell, and we can just say apparel, hit enter, shift enter. So that give me the information, so we feel confident about that. You can also say print if you like. You still get the same, then still get the same data, but printed differently. You can also use type function to find out the data type, and it tells us that it's a list. Okay, all three variable for the category should have been initialized properly with 12 months of sales data. Okay, and this markdown cell just tell you how to define a function, how to calculate the total of all the list element and return it as a function. Okay, so this, if you know how to implement function, this is not critical, but just give you an idea. We covered function in the previous class, and this is actually, you can use some built-in function for list to do it, but for demonstration purpose, this is the one you want to study. Okay, and task 0 is a task. You want to implement function that will help you to calculate the mean, the variance, as standard deviation. Remember, this is population variance and population standard deviation. Here we're giving you some example, very similar to what we just showed you earlier. Then another markdown cell, if you look at it, it's a markdown cell. Show the population mean, variance, and standard deviation in the mass function. That sometimes you will see something like this, but you have to implement it eventually through your program. So you need to be comfortable with the way the formula, the calculation has been written. Now it's time to implement the function. You need 3 functions. Here I give you the dummy function header, okay, to get started. So keep it that way. The path, just for technical reason, we put it there so that when you run everything, it will still work. But this is like a placeholder. You need to implement this function called mean, and which has a parameter that's a list you're getting. So your job is calculate the mean, which is really the average of the 12 sales data point, and you want to calculate the average. So I'm going to do a more elaborate version. Let's create a variable called sum and initialize to 0. And then let's also have a counter. Okay, I'm going to say count and also set it to 0. This is called initialization of some variable we're using. It's a good practice. Then we need to go through the list to get one element at a time, count how many elements we have, and also add up all the number and store it in the variable called sum. So to do that, since we have container data structure, we have iterable data structure. So loop seems to work really well. So we're going to just say for. Um, Let me just use some more. Well, I probably don't want to use cells because that's tied our. I'll just say item for list item in the list. What's our list? The list is not apparel and footwear. In this case, when we write the function body on how we implement the function, we will use this formal parameter. Okay, in this case, x hash, and use colon, hit enter. Okay, they indented for us, which means it's within the scope of the for loop. Okay, we are in the loop. Okay, and the item is supposed to be a number. We're not doing a lot of error checking because that complicates the algorithm for now, and for this assignment, that's not critical. You're welcome to do it, but it's not required. We covered expression like this. We want to add the number stored in the item, which put out of the list, to the sum, which is kind of running total. It started with 0 when you first come in. You get January sales, and you add January sales to 0, and then you got January sales in your sum, and then you loop back and you get the second item, which is your February sales, and the February sales added to the sum, which is at this point is the January sales, and then the sum become the first 2 months of sales number. Okay, we do need to count how many data points, although we know it's 12 months, but you want the program to do it for you. So it's count equal 1. So we're done. To write the body of the loop, we'll go. If we pass 12 data points in the list, we would go through this 12 times every time the sum increase by whatever the number we get from the list, and we will increase the count by 1. So we're done. So if I hit enter, I don't need that indentation. I'll hit again. Tap in, so I have to just send indentations to the for loop because they are okay. I think you need to get out of the for loop and align with the for statement because you're outside the for loop now. You do need to return the final result through the function name, but in order to get the mean, we still need to do one more calculation. Allow me to, I think it's probably a good practice, allow me to just leave a blank line between for loop and what I'm going to write so that we can see the structure more clearly without relying on the indentation visually that much. So the average is the mean. I'm going to create a new variable called average, which is the sum divided by count. Okay, and then we can just return average. So eventually the mean function will receive the average of all the number in the list that's passed to it. So we're done with this one. You do need to finish the variance and standard deviation, but to just quickly test it, okay, you're encouraged to test whatever you just done do a little, test a little. That's kind of philosophy. Make sure this function you just define work, okay, before you move on and do a lot of other things. Because after you have done a lot of coding and then when you try to test it, something went wrong, you may not know what you did caused the error. If you do a little, test a little, you know what you just did worked or didn't work. Okay, and so in this case, we can just say print in bracket. Let's just do something very simple. A list 2, 3, 4. If we print it as a list, it will come out as it is. If we call the function mean, enclosed in parentheses, and send this specific list to the function will return a number back to us, which will be printed. Okay, so let's see what happened. Ooh, okay, I got an extra parenthesis. Incomplete. Let me see. Yes, okay, mean, I do need the parenthesis to match with the print because this parenthesis is the function need this inner parenthesis. So let's see what it's not defined. Oh, I know why. Okay, it's not defined, but I did define it. Why the system complain about not defined? Because they complain about it because I haven't run it. I have to click here, say run, or shift enter, and this time I'm going to just click this to run it. After I ran it, I would run this print statement. So the average of 2, 3, and 4 is 3. So that seems to be right. So I feel confident about the function I implemented. So this is a little testing code cell that I use. When you submit your final completed assignment, you could remove this because this is not part of the requirement. If you leave it there, that's fine. We kind of know what you have done, but it's not required. Okay, leave it there will be fine. Okay, and read this task carefully. Like this one, just total annual sales per category. So you basically need to print out like the annual sales for apparel is this numbered, and for another footwear is another number. So you pretty much need to have 3 print statements. I only have 1 here, just for illustration purpose. This also shows you how to print something nicely with the formatting string, F string as we call it, when you use print statement. Calculate the mean monthly sale per category. This is a placeholder for the code cell. That's where you need to complete it. Use the mean function we have defined and run, so it's available to us to print the average or the mean monthly sale for each product category. We'll do one just very quickly. For instance, we have, I'm going to just do the first one. If I scroll up and find the apparel, first double check what's in there. Okay, it's a list. We're okay. Then we're going to say, what's the mean? use the function we just defined, that you have defined. So then we'll get the mean monthly sales, because this is a 12 months data. We will calculate the average, and then you would just print it out. Okay. I'm going to do a simple printing just to save time a little bit. I'm going to just say the apparel's mean monthly sales, or maybe I'll do this. The mean monthly sales for apparel is colon ending double quote, comma to separate another variable function whatsoever in the print statement. This is the one. I would put a parenthesis and see. Yeah, so I'm getting something. You may want to kind of beautify your printout. For instance, this is just too many decimal place, so we can do something like round, comma 2 parenthesis. So that looks better. Even better, you may want to add a dollar sign. But this is just one of the print statement. You need 3 print statement for each of the apparel of the, not apparel, of the product category that has data. Okay, do that for variance, for standard deviation. So basically, you need 3 print statement for each. You need 6 print statement. Use the function that you define, and the rest is task 4 is monthly total sales of all 3 categories. So you actually would give me like 12 months of the sales by add up the 3 category for January. That will be the January's total sales, and then at the end you're going to print the grand total. Okay, so this is pretty much just adding. Okay, add things up. In let's see, compute, print the mean, variance, standard deviation, total monthly sales. Let me double check. Okay, variance standard per category. Yeah, that's per category. This is actually by month. The stats still. This is still we actually need to show mean, variance, and standard deviation, but it's about the sales per month. Okay, it's not by category, it's by the time. Okay, so it's really just 3 data points for each month. Okay, and so do that. Still use the same mean, variance, and standard deviation function. On this one, you try to find the maximum or highest total of the annual sales by the 3 category, and find out which category has the highest total annual sales. You're going to write your code here in this kind of blue one. Those are the code cell. That's where you're going to finish this task, like task 6. Okay, and by the way, you you shouldn't just print out like the total sales for each category and then visually just look at the number and say, oh, by the way, I can see this category has the largest total annual sales. Okay, you think about it a little bit. You want the program to go over the data and eventually figure out which category has the highest total annual sales through your program, and then print out that category's name. Okay. Okay. And let me okay. So this is a little bit tricky. It's not as intuitive. Okay. You probably need to store the category name, a string, in a list, and use that list to help you to determine like which category has the highest total annual sales. So think about it. Okay, there's different way to solve this problem. The worst case scenario, you print out the total sales for each category, and you would go through the loop. Go through a You probably will go through. Can we do? You can do if then if statement, because we only have three category, but it's better to store that in a list and then go through a loop to find out which one has the highest number. Just think about it. Okay, this is a little bit challenge. Okay, and same thing for task 7. The month was the highest overall sales. This you need to add monthly sales, the sales by the three product category by month, and then get the total sales per month, and then find out which one has the highest number. Okay. This is a little bit complicated formula, but not difficult. Month to month gross per product. Read this description, what that means. The only catch is for January, you don't have to month on month gross. Okay, and find out the highest average monthly gross or the gross rate by the product category. Okay, so you need to calculate the average monthly gross based on the result of the task 8, and then once again figure out which one has the maximum. Oh, by the way, list, if you know, list actually max is a built-in function, so use that's probably the simplest way to do it. Okay, you can write your own function to do it, but there's a built-in function you can use. Task 10, there's some code given to you, and in this case, this is just a sample code for a 12-month sales of some unknown product. Okay, this is kind of like a placeholder. I also give you the 12 months name from January to December, and this is Matplotlib. Okay, the plotting program, which we will cover. I put it here because I want you to kind of feel comfortable in terms of using some code maybe given by somebody else or generated by generative AI tool, but know what you need to change for your own work. Okay, in this case, you probably don't need to change this at all. However, you do need to change the data because this is not the apparel footwear data yet. And so, and also this sample sales data, you probably want to use a different variable name. And this is the title of the chart or the graph. Let's run it first without changing anything, so you can kind of see what's going on. So let me make it a little bit smaller so you can see it. So we have 12 months, and that's the sales in line plot. Okay. If you use the same code with some modification, one thing you can do is actually comment this out, because we have data already, apparel. Okay. And let's see whether that will work. Okay. So this is just a chart for the apparel. You may want to certainly modify the title. It's not sample data anymore. Just so you may say apparel, and run it again. You need two more. You probably want to add two more code cell, or to print out the line chart for each product category. So create two more code cell, pretty much copy the code, but only changing one or two places to make it work. So I need 3 chart, line plot, okay, and pie chart. Okay, in another class we did mention that people don't like pie chart, but here we still want you to try to print the pie chart here, just to give you a little bit taste of how you can use ChatGPT 4. You're required to use the large language model, interact with ChatGPT and or Gemini, let it generate some code that you can use, but do remember, ask them to use Matplotlib, and do mention that you're using Python, and what you want a pie chart based on the annual sales contribution, which means you need to give the annual sale for each of the category, which is 3 data points. Okay, and for them to produce the pie chart, and that's basically what it is. Document in the markdown cells. You can do it here and just say, what's your prompt, what's your response. You can have several prompts in your conversation and different response from the system, and before you get some generated code which you can use. Okay, and once that's done, basically this is where you would get the code and come here and test it in this environment to see whether that worked. Okay, and last not the least is actually write the analysis report, to report your insight based on the analysis so far. And so there are some you can just look at the chart, look at the number, look at the calculation, and describe whatever that you should bring to the management level's attention. Okay, about the trend, about the market share by each product category, etc. Okay, and once you're done, you come back and just save it. Okay, and you do need to know where this is stored. On my system, once again, it's under user, it's under Minder Chen, and this is in this folder, and so this is my program. Okay, that has been saved just now. You can look at the timestamp. And so this is the one you should upload. Okay, for the Mac, you also need to find the right place. I think that's about it. It's a little bit lengthy assignment, but just try to get you started. Okay, it's not that difficult. Sometimes the task may not be that clear. Interpret the best you can, and you can also send email to me if you need some clarification, if this video doesn't explain things clear enough. Okay, that's it. We're done. Make sure you complete it in time and submit it accordingly. Bye bye.